Hi, my name is Sabine Zimmermann and you're listening to Postcards from the Province, our podcast for the regions of Europe. In March, the Network for Culture and Local Traditions, in cooperation with the bidding office Hildesheim 2025, organized the Province Lab. We invited 8 international experts who visited Hildesheim and the region and exchanged with the locals. Now, 2 months later, we talk again. What changed in Europe in the meantime? And how can we take the next step from European capital to European province of culture? Hi Froukje, I'm happy that you are here with us today and I warmly welcome you to our podcast. And I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is Froukje de Jong. I work in a museum, the oldest still functioning planetarium, still closed due to coronaviruses, but we are very anxious to open up again on the 1st of June. We will be allowed to have only a small number of people inside, but it's good to meet people again. And I was, as a volunteer, the producer of one of the main projects of Leeuwarden Culture Capital in 2018 on the project Potatoes Go Wild.
Yeah, thank you. As you mentioned, everything is now overshadowed with the coronavirus and the crisis and the pandemic and the threat this virus brings over us. But 2 months ago, you have been with us and participated in our Province Lab. And, in general, Frouke, what pictures come up to you when you think about this project?
I think you have a lot of similarities that we had in Leeuwarden, and what I really was impressed by, how different your countryside is, how many types of landscape, different villages around Hildesheim that could have a very nice connection all together, but the differences makes it a very, very nice and inviting area to come to and be there. It's not one thing, but there's so many things that you can look at and communities that you can talk to that are different on their own and still can make a very nice, unique ensemble together.
Sometimes you need the view through the eyes of a stranger, and this was something that really happened in our Province Lab because the locals are not aware of the treasures we have. And I think this is a real treasure, these possibilities and these opposites that are in this small region. It makes it very cozy, I think, and very interesting. Okay, but Frouke, you did not tell our audience that you are also a farmer.
Yes, I don't call myself a farmer. I'm married to a farmer.
Well.
The farm I used to be more involved, but nowadays we have 2 of our 3 sons that work together with my husband in the farm. And I started picking up a lot of freelance work, which has come to a complete standstill at the moment. Mm-hmm. But of course I know what daily farming life is because I live on the farm and have to deal with it every day. Mm-hmm. And yes, and we are also in an area where a lot of artists live, and what I learned from your region, you have a lot of them too. And cooperation between farmers and artists is a very lucky one. It works out very good.
Mm-hmm. And I think it did not start because of Leeuwarden 2018, or did that start because of the Capital of Culture project?
No. We started in 2008. United Nations called that year the International Year of the Potato. Mm-hmm. And many farmers here are growing potatoes, seed potatoes that go all over the world, and also potatoes for eating in the region. And we decided to set up a project, farmers and artists working together, and because it's not so easy for a farmer to have the consumer visit the farm. There's always a distance between them. There is a lot of questions between them that will be never asked unless you invite them and tempt them to come over to your farms. And we used art. We filled our potato barns with art, and had a unique audience of farmers who wanted to visit their colleagues. But a lot of visitors who came from the art and suddenly met a farmer and talked to them. And this way we try to set up understanding. And we always had an open air play, which has been very successful, but always with the question, where is your food coming from? Will you stay or will you go? What happens to people if there's always too much to eat rather than not enough? So if people left, they had a good feeling of having seen a unique show with actors, but also with agricultural machines and dancers and music bands, but also a question in their mind to think about. And we did a whole lot. We also did a lot of work with education, with primary schools, but also with secondary schools, involving them. And involving them, you also had the parents involved. So we picked it up, and we had our first edition in 2008, and then we intended to do a second one in 2013, but Leeuwarden applied for being a cultural capital, and the jury was coming for a visit, and they asked us to do it in 2012 already, so the jury could see that there was more, not just Leeuwarden, but also the region was very active and very willing to participate. And then we got another lucky chance that Leeuwarden was connected to Valletta in Malta as the second cultural capital. And we had a very long-lasting economic bond between the potatoes and culture and two languages and a lot of things that were already there. And we put up a project to also do a tandem job with Malta. And we had a 4-year lasting project with them on poetry, international literature, poetry, but also children's poetry and education. So sometimes you need to be lucky also with certain things, and it turned out very, very nice. We had a great audience the last time, partly due to Leeuwarden Cultural Capital, but also because people already knew us for a part.
So I think you would say the cooperation is the best way to show things?
Yes, you really have to offer something different, and that will lead people to you. A lot of people are interested, and the unique thing we had, with art in potato barns, in all kinds of types of farms, but also pointing out the beautiful landscape that you have as well with your hills and your flat parts, and it looks like a painting if you want to take a good look at it, but you need somebody to point you out that it's there. And unexpected cooperations. When we started first, a lot of people told us a cooperation between farmers and artists would never work. And it's one of the best that you can think of. Both of us are making something, dealing with the landscape, having to do with the fields, with the crops. And it's good to have the view of somebody else, like you mentioned before. Artists look in a different way to the landscape and to the farmers than a lot of people do. And it's interesting to listen to them and have your benefit with them. And we also, like you invited us from all over Europe to take a look at your region. We had a lot of international students that are studying in Leeuwarden tourism and leisure management that took a look at our region And we did our benefit with that. We learned a lot from them, things we overlooked, like you have yourself. It's always there. And it seems to be normal, but it's very unique. But somebody needs to point you out that it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we invited you to have a look at us with your interested eyes and your critical eye too, of course. Do you think that these cooperations or maybe co-creation could lead to something very, very different? I remember this really funny project, 50 Shades of Green. I really loved that project, and I really laughed about that project because it's a really very a good way to show something in a different way. And again, do you think that this co-creation can lead to something very unexpected?
Yes, already the title of the 50 Shades of Green, and I'll tell you briefly what it was. It was 50 different crops that once were grown in our area or are growing there now or could be grown in the future with changing climate. We also pointed out some of that, and it had their shades of green through the season. So from April till the end of October, we had a very nice summer then, and it lasted very long. People could see that green is not green, that every crop, every plant has its own shade of green, and yeah, it was very interesting to see all the differences. A lot of people had never seen growing certain crops. Mm-hmm. And they came over to the field and asked the farmer who organized that for us, how things grow and why certain plants don't grow in a certain period of the year. And what is a carrot, it's top, but it also has a very long root, and it's the same with the sugar beet. I remember my sister-in-law who came to our area first time and thought that sugar beets were a salad, that she was looking at a lettuce field rather than a sugar beet field. And for us it's normal, but it's so good to point that out. And we even had soya growing there. Nowadays you can have certain sort of soya growing in this area because it has become warmer in the past few years. So we showed that, and the unexpected things. People were were in their cars or on the bicycle going past it, and it suddenly was there. There were some signs, this is 50 Shades of Green, take a look, come in for free. And thousands of people did. It was really very, very nice. Mm-hmm. So something unexpected in the landscape that people don't expect and are not aware of makes them go over and take a look at other things as well. So yes, you need those different things.
Mm. To come back to Hildesheim and our province lab, you spent 3 days with our local farmers, with local women who are part of the farming community. And what did you experience here?
Well, the questions they have and the issues that are going on are no different than ours are. But of course there is also a lot of differences. For instance, your fields are a few times bigger than ours are. So that was very nice for me to take a look at in all the beautiful farms. But talking to the people, we understood each other a lot better, realizing that pretty much throughout Europe, I suppose, the questions farmers have and the things they have to deal with nowadays are no different. And it's good to listen to each other and perhaps, grab one or two of those issues and take a look at them together. If you can do something with them and deal with them, and each in their own way, but also have similarities in it, and it's always good to learn from each other and take your benefit and take the best points out and use them for your own region.
I think you learned a lot from each other. Not only you stepped in with your expertise, but I think, and I hope so, you took something out of these talks too for you.
Oh yes, a lot of it. Yes, and also, I also learned of how the villages, people in the villages deal with each other. I was on Saturday morning. I had this beautiful meeting with village people from the village, and there were artists, but there was also a doctor. There was a whole lot of different things, and that was something I didn't know, that they were just sitting together and asking, questions of this is not going right, but how can we deal with it? That's something I definitely took home, that maybe we should also invite people from the villages, come together and talk about things and try to find solutions. You cannot solve everything. Why do young people leave? Why are they not involved in the community? And we have a tendency just, to point it out and leave it with that. And they were actually working on it and willing to do something about it. And the combination of young people and older people, that was very unique as well. I really, really liked talking to them and see them, how they were thinking in solutions rather than just staying in the problem side.
That really sounds interesting to me, because I thought it would be similar to your regions and the place where you live, and I'm really surprised that it does not happen at the place where you live.
No, not really the talking. I missed the talking. What happened with our project, we have a village over here, originally very religious, and on Sunday when we would drive through with our tractors, they didn't like us to, but we have to work on Sundays as well. But for them it was a church day, and they were involved last time very much in our project. In fact, there was somebody knocking on every door and saying, you can do this and you can do that. And the cooperation has changed since then. We know each other better, and we have a lot of more understanding. In fact, they were planning to put up a play in our barn this year. Unfortunately, due to Corona, they had to postpone it for a year. But they would never have asked us if they could use our barn for that play if we would not have had the 2018 project. And that changed a lot. But the way they were talking, just saying we have these problems and how are we going to tackle them? I did not know that way of working. I don't know if it's regular in your area or this is a very, very unique and special village that I was at, but it was something I took home. You shouldn't make it more difficult. Just invite people for a kitchen table talk and see how you can do with it, but also spread the ages. It's difficult to find the young people, and they were there. They were there and definitely involved and willing to also get their people involved that were the same age. And of course, there's always the pull of the city. They want to go. Young people want to go to the city, and most of them don't come back until they have children, or even later if they retire. And they were also, talking about that. How can we keep the young people involved and in the villages? And something I also learned, and looking at it later here, is that the houses get so expensive in Hildesheim that people tend to go to the villages, live there, but not get involved in the communities. And we have pretty much the same thing over here as well. Although I wasn't aware of it. I looked at things later on asked young people, and they say the same thing, that they work in the city and they don't want to be involved in community life, and that changes the villages. And I wasn't aware of that. That's also something that's happening here as well, more than I thought it was.
So the key would be to communicate and to keep the doors open. Do you think so?
Yes, that's very important. Yes.
So community building is a very special point we should address too.
Yes, and also like I was in Heersum as well with Jürgen Zürnke from the forum, and using those people to point that out in a play type of things, that opens people's eyes as well. You can enlarge a certain problem and in the form of a play, and as a sort of wake-up call. Again, you can use the artist and the region and the city of Hildesheim together to point these problems out and maybe start a dialogue or a discussion with that. I think they were doing a great job and had a very great view on what was going on, and I think you get you have to get culture more involved in those things as well. One cannot go without the other, although at the moment it seems like culture is the last one, at least in here, the last thing they keep alive. You need the culture, and the culture can help make decisions as well.
Yes. Maybe a last question, Frouke. Maybe it's a tricky question. Do you think that we are on a good way with our culture, with our region, with our bit? You could maybe just sneak into it and have a small overview about it and couldn't get dig deeper into our bit. But do you think it is a possibility to talk about regions, to talk about province? Is this an issue, a topic that we should much more address to all over Europe?
Yes, well, I read your bid book, and I helped write the book of Leeuwarden. You do a very smart thing on not just sticking to Hildesheim, but also get the region involved, and point out a lot of things that are going on. I think for being a cultural capital, that's very important that you are fully aware of that you need both, that one needs the other. What I would suggest then you is also take a good look at Slovenia, at the cultural capital there, and make a cooperation, because the project we had with Malta was important for the jury. We were not aware of that at the moment. The judges made their decisions, but later on I spoke to them and they said it made a difference for them, that it was such a nice project that has proved a cooperation that was natural, that was not forced, and both sides were fully enthusiastic about it, and it worked out very nice. So take a good look at Slovenia as well. But continue the way you did. You have your unique selling points, and it's a good thing that you point them out. And you are the small one in a number of big cities.
Yeah.
And I remember Maastricht and Eindhoven told us, the big cities that we were in competition with, what is Leeuwarden? What is it? Where is it? It's never going to win. And it did, because we continued and believed in what we were doing all together. I think you should do that too. You have gold in your hands if you continue the way you do with all the things you pointed out, and that you can also make true. You can do them. If I read your big book, I can understand that the things you want to do, you can do. It's not just a theory. It's practical as well. And I think you should continue with that. And don't get afraid of what others say and lack of budget and whatever else, because Leeuwarden didn't have a big budget. And by the end, 85% of the big book is fully completed after 2018. And again, also you have so many different groups of people involved. Keep them involved because you need them. Mm. And even if Hildesheim doesn't win the competition, there are still so many things that you should and could continue with, because you made people awake and aware. Mm. And we would have done the same thing with Leeuwarden. If Leeuwarden wouldn't have won, I think about 50% of the bid book would have happened anyways. Yeah. Because the people were ready for that. They were thinking about it, and with less budget, but we would have done it anyways. So losing the competition is bad, but it doesn't mean that you cannot do anything of all the good stuff that you put up.
Mm-hmm. Frouke, this wasn't a fishing for compliments, but although it wasn't, thank you very much for this warm rain of nice words.
No, but I mean, I understand your bid book and how you do things, and for me it was like something, the hard work that you're doing. I can understand what you're doing.
Thank you very much. So these are wonderful closing words, I think, and thank you very much. Thank you for joining me today. And is there anything else you want to mention or to add?
No, well, I hope the pandemic will be gone by the time you'll be there. I'm not envying Galway and the other culture capital this year.
Yes.
For me, I think it would mean disaster for them. I haven't spoken to them, but recently, but nevertheless, hopefully we will live again in a world in 2025 that you can really do things, and well, maybe some good things will come from that. But I would say just go on, and hopefully we keep our fingers crossed for you in Leeuwarden and region, that you will be able to be successful. And I've seen you have a delay in the jury's advice that is not very nice, I suppose. On one hand, it gives you more time to get the bid book ready, but it will take longer for them to decide. But yes, hopefully things will be getting back to normal, and you will be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah, thank you very much. And well, of course, it will be a new normal anyway. So thank you very much. Thank you for this interview, Frouke. Thank you for your time. And I hope we soon will meet again. Okay?
Yes, hopefully, yes. Hopefully we will.